After an eternity of blur, everything came suddenly into focus. Tiny stars illumined tears meandering down cracked black paint, moving as a stranger through a crowd, touching some, merging, then pulling apart again, avoiding others. It was an old door, ancient, perhaps even old enough to have been actually made by hand. Dreamless sleep worn away, showing off that perfect patina that only comes from decades of touch. The droplets could not go there, crowding the edges of the flaking paint until the weight forced them to make the mad dash to the other side. But reaching the other side, they traveled too fast to stop and lose themselves in the puddle on the dank marble step below. It was an old door. It had 6 window panes, grime gathered in the edges as though fighting for a glimpse of inside. 5 of them were textured glass with steel wire weaving fine patterns of distorted X's over the mottled red tones showing from inside. One had been replaced, scratched, yellowing plastic, but clear enough to see inside to the foyer. He stood, bewildered and indecisive. The oldest door? It must be a hotel or some rundown inner-city apartment building. The foyer was a patchwork of rich reds. Nothing matched, as if the designer didn't think any further than color. Faded, threadbare utility carpet, a long, padded leather bench, and overly ornate wallpaper all competed over which betrayed the deepest forgotten trauma. Even the plastic chair was bright red despite its obvious years. A small chandelier too ornate for the room hung from the center of the ceiling, incandescent bulbs flickering through the dirty crystal to add their amber glow to the already uncomfortably warm scene. A gilt gold picture frame hung without a painting in it, wire and nail stoically doing their jobs in plain sight. A composite table of black plastic trim and fake wood-grain veneer held up a wooden chess set that captivated the total attention of the other 2 non-red things in the room. An older black man, thin, well-kept, and wearing a dark uniform of some kind, sat in a chair, leaning forward, looming over the pieces, looking back and forth between them and a youth of indeterminate ethnicity in the faded dark blue hoodie who pulled on a cigarette and spoke as he made his next move, then relaxed back against the wall and spoke some more. It felt like a memory. He watched them through the spidery clot of the window. It wasn't a memory. It couldn't be. It felt like it had always been the way it was now, and always would be, here, now. A car door slammed somewhere behind him, and suddenly the sound rushed into the world. There was water dripping everywhere, but not rain. The rain must have just stopped. Cars splashed through puddles in the distance. Someone yelled far away. A slow siren warbled as it moved through the maze of tall buildings. And a tired woman's voice thanked someone. Peripheral vision crept in slowly, revealing cold black walls huddled around the red glow. Night, the last echoes of light fading from the overcast sky. Or was it the first echoes rising? Was it even a sky or a gray ceiling above the buildings? Clicking footsteps, coming closer. He turned from the doorway, slowly. Everything took effort, much more than it should. She stopped on the wet concrete at the bottom of the stoop and looked up at him. Black high heels, stockings, short lime green dress, pale skin and a wild mass of flame red hair, framed eyes that weren't yet tired enough to not be sarcastic. "It's warmer inside, you know," she said. He stared at her. "Yeah, I'm sure you are." She stamped out her cigarette. "But I'm going in there, and you're in my way." Excuse me." He moved away from the door, banging the suitcase he hadn't even realized he was carrying on the stoop railing, and it popped open, completely empty. He reached to close it, but she beat him to it. "Traveling light?" She snapped it shut, slid past him with an unsure smile, opening the door and going in. Voices escaped from the womb, along with the evidence of a battle between cheap cigarette smoke and curry. The smoke had won. Evening, Aaron. Punching out early. Fuck you. Oh, only if you lower your prices. It was getting a little easier to turn. Not that it was physically hard, it was like he was slower than the world around him, out of sync, but catching up. Inside, the uniformed man noticed him. He hadn't seemed so tall sitting down. The uniform was an odd mix of doorman and security guard. Hey there, so you're Dr. Walker, right? They told us you'd be here today. I'm George, let me help you with that. George betrayed only a hint of confusion over the obviously empty suitcase before smiling and holding the door open for him. They stepped inside. The problem child is Jason. No worries, he's all bark. Jason roared with laughter. Problem child, nice one, George. Didn't know you had it in you. And he stood there, rolled the name around in his head. Dr. Walker? I'm a doctor? Let me show you to your apartment. George held open the inside door and beckoned him in. He followed George in a daze without really looking at anything other than the traffic wear in the carpet. George had an easy, honest friendliness to him, the kind of person you feel instantly safe with, especially when half insensible. He led him down a few dimly lit long halls that smelled of cleaning products that couldn't quite handle the musty old age of the building. Rough trip? You must have been coming from far away for them to dope you up that much. Yeah, I think. I can't really... It'll all come back to you. Just relax, get settled. You'll be right as rain. They went up an elevator that he wished had been steadier, and the top floor turned left down the hall. George went on talking the whole time, not seeming to mind at all that there was no response. Something about the building's last doctor being a good man and retiring to Cape Cod. Nice place, good seafood. Well, here we are. It's all yours. He looked up and into the pale green darkened room, almost the opposite of the womb below. Definitely an apartment building, not a hotel. A small glass shaded lamp looked lonely, surrounded by bare walls. Hooks and square patches showing where pictures once hung. Dark-stained wood furnishings with faded sage green corduroy cushions and brass trim. Shag carpet so worn that its original color was anyone's guess. White plastic alarm clock with a faded, dimly lit face. Second hand ticking softly to itself. Thick curtains pulled shut. It didn't smell bad, and seemed clean enough. George showed him around quickly. Bathroom and kitchen to your left there, bedroom in the back, and this door here goes right to your office. Convenient, huh? Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else you'll be needing? He hesitated a moment, but George seemed the type that would understand. How did you know I'm Dr. Walker? Oh, you're wearing a suit, ain't you? No lawyer would show up here with a suitcase. George looked at his suitcase a second, as if to say even an empty one, but just smiled instead. Well, now, I'll find you in the morning and I'll show you around the place, but for now, just relax and let the dope wear off. There's painkillers in the office if you need them. Thanks, George. The door closed and the emptiness of the room hit him. Dope? He couldn't remember anything that led up to standing at that doorway. Why would he think I'm on dope? He searched his pockets and came out with nothing helpful. A key ring with a few keys on it and an odd cylindrical stainless steel thing that he thought must be some kind of laser pointer, although he couldn't figure out how to turn it on. The suitcase was completely empty, no help there. His mind raced along the aisles of the library without books in it, and his body needed to shut down badly.